You are the gentleman that sent me the email. I think the best thing for me to do for those that haven't read it, just sort of frame it. I'll just read it out loud, and then we'll sort of go back and forth and see what we can do to be useful for you. So this is, hey, Rich, I've watched a lot of your content, and while I'm not a deep follower of the red pill, I'm certainly interested in becoming the most ideal man I can, and I'm glad you support men. I found the red pill years ago and realized how important status and confidence is for maintaining attraction. I understand hypergamy. I used to be more naive, but I still get one-itis a lot. The reason why I'm requesting a video, and by the way, guys, if you want to request a video, pinned in the top comment of all my videos, there's links to a bunch of stuff, and one there is how to request a specific video on a topic that you want to talk about. This is one. The reason why I'm requesting a video is because I need clarity on my situation. I want to remain productive and not sulk, though my romantic failures can consume me. Without divulging too much, I'm 23, a grad student at a good university who in their free time enjoys hiking, photography, travel, and biking. I have money saved, but my main priority is education, not business, as my school is all paid for since my family is fairly well off. I'm going to enter a career in politics and/or city and environmental planning, and I spent the last year or two gaining internship experience. I'll let you assess my life based on my socials. More photos of me than the story reels. You can see I like to travel. So he linked his social media. I had a look at it, and I've also verified that the person behind the caller name is indeed our friend in the social media, because I really don't like it when people try to pull fast ones on me, and I always try to verify that. For years, I've been balancing between education, professional goals, trying to attract women. I've been looking for a relationship for years. I've been on 20 plus first dates and asked out countless women through apps, social media, campus approaches, but I've had a really high rejection rate. I know it's my fault, but I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I've kissed a few, but I've never been in a relationship, and I am celibate. Recently rejected by an attractive woman I liked after 2 dates because, you put in quotations, no chemistry, even though I thought we were compatible. Woman I've struck up conversation with and taken out on dates, coffee, nice restaurants, bookstores, beaches, etc., have told me I'm not shy and I like talking to you. I make them laugh, and it seems okay, but ends up being rejected. The women I've liked come in all body types, taller and shorter than me, though I prefer taller, different passions, my age to a decade older, and verifying life plans through ideally I would want goal-oriented women. I don't want kids. I'm 5'6", thinly built. I don't lift weights, but I do cardio every week. Feel frustrated. I want direction and someone who's successful, so I turn to you to gain insight from the red pill perspective. Perhaps people in the comments can share as well. All right. Well, Bob, here we are.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, and thanks for having the balls to do this, because I know this is tough and it's a difficult conversation. So I have no issue keeping you anon. I know who you are, and we're here to sort of get to some solutions. So give me a little bit of background on you beyond what you sort of put in that email to me that provides some, I guess frame around your childhood, like what you like doing for fun, what your hobbies were you involved in sports, like tell me about your teenage years at least.
Yeah, no, I haven't been a big sports guy, because I just never been that athletically inclined. Like I've done tennis, and I was doing like cross country in like junior high, but I've never really been like done team sports, and that's never really been my forte. I think that I was fairly shy as a child, and even now, like that still has come up. A lot of people have said that I'm not like super shy, but I've had a lot of social anxiety. So I've I had friends as a kid, but I wasn't like the most sociable, popular guy throughout school, throughout college. I didn't really start dating until I was like 21. So I was kind of like a late bloomer there. My hobbies are pretty much like I've gotten really into photography. I used to do a lot of writing, but that sort of fell by the wayside. Now I'm more into photography. I like biking, and I want to pick up mountain biking more, actually. I've always liked hiking. I actually joined a hiking club in school, and I kind of met people a bit that way, but it didn't work out 100%. And yeah, I'm just really like, I like the outdoors over staying inside, even though I'm not the most extroverted. And yeah.
Okay. You said you had joined a few hiking clubs. Did you have a lot of gals in the hiking
I
club,
joined
or
a
like what was
lot.
the mix?
Yeah, there were a fair amount of girls in the club. I asked out. I approached and like struck a conversation on the second. I went on 3 on the second hike. This chick I talked to probably almost the entire time, but and I got her social, and then it just kind of like fell by the wayside. Like she didn't. It just like just kind of it didn't progress past there.
Did you guys exchange texts? Like, did you go back and forth? Did you flirt with her at all? Did you ask her out? Like,
No,
how'd you go?
no, just chatting like in person was like the most. And then when after, I gave her my social actually.
Yeah.
And then
Did she end up
after
following
that,
you? Did she engage any of it?
no, not
Okay.
on. No, it was just during it in person on the hike.
Okay, so let's deal with the in-person stuff. So I think that's a pretty good example. You're going out for a hike, you're walking. One of the pieces of advice I give guys is usually on a first date on a sniff test. It's always great to grab a coffee and go for a stroll for a bunch of reasons. The main one that I find is you get to check them out, right? Because you're walking and you're sort of moving, and it's an easy way to sort of have a nice conversation. So you're going for a stroll. What do you usually talk about with these girls? You're interested in her, you find her attractive. What do you usually talk about with her?
Yeah, so the last date we went to this. The first date was pretty good. We went to like a nice restaurant. What did we talk about? Like everything, honestly. Like our interests, hobbies, pets.
You said our interests, hobbies. So does that mean that you're talking about your interests and hobbies
like
along
both
with hers, or?
mine and hers.
Okay.
So like it's kind of like a back and forth.
Are you trying to match up to her and be like, oh, I like, you like this and I like this, sort of thing? Is that?
I kind of, I've done a lot of like, well, at least on the last date that I'm referring to, I did a lot of like teasing, because not negging, but like kind of like banter and like trying to be flirty. And so that's why I just wanted to get to know her. So we talked about like what we're interested in, like what we like to do for fun. We both weren't that like athletic.
She's in the same school with you? Like, how did you run into
No,
this club?
this is a woman I met on the apps.
Oh, okay. So this is a dating app. This isn't the hiking club.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to go back to the hiking club
Okay.
and sort of deal with the social sort of conversation. So you're taking a stroll. There's a gal, you dig her vibe, you find her attractive, you start chatting her up. How does that usually go? Like, how do you open her? What do you try to talk about?
I probably just commented on like school things at first, and like her university experience and my university experience, and the conversation, I think, if I remember, just kind of like went from there. We talked about like the outdoors, like what we like doing, like what we find interesting about like hiking, and I think with this person I didn't really like, it wasn't as flirty. I wasn't doing as much like back and forth kind of like banter as like I would have because I wasn't. The thing is like I wasn't. It's like a dating app. It's like more, it's not platonic like right away. But if
is she asking you questions at this point? You're going for a walk, for a long walk here, but is
the
she
thing is
asking
there
you
were other
any
people,
questions?
other guys there. It wasn't just me and her. Like I didn't know her. Other guys knew her.
Right. But I mean,
It was a
you're
hiking group.
going for a stroll and you're having a conversation. Does she get to the point where she's like, hey, Bob, I'm kind of interested in, those shoes, or, I heard that you like this, or like, is she asking you questions?
Yeah, a little, but
what kind of questions is she asking you?
Just about my, like, my degree, like what my interests are, my passion, what I like to do. But she was also kind of like alternating between me and the other guys in the group.
What do you think she's trying to get to when she's asking about your degrees and your passions and your interests and your hobbies?
I mean, I think she's trying to get to know me, but I could tell it wasn't romantic. It was just,
Yeah, well, I mean, she's sizing you up, right? I mean, so if a woman starts asking you questions, that generally means that she's got a degree of interest, right? Otherwise, she won't be asking you questions. She'll just move on, or she'll take her attention somewhere else. So there's at least a genuine beginning to it.
yeah.
But
Well, I mean, maybe it wasn't the best example because
well,
I've
just follow me
approached
on
her.
this. Yeah, so just follow me on this. So I mean, like what I'm talking about is captivation here, right? Because you can do anything you want to a woman except for bore her. So she's trying to figure out what's interesting about Bob, right? Like, what does he like to do? Like, does he have an interesting hobby that I might like to partake in? Like, does he have a boat? Oh, I like guys with boats. Maybe we could go boating sometime, sort of thing. Like, this is this is usually how women size up guys in groups, especially if they start asking questions like, "Oh, like, what do you like to do in your spare time?" And if it's something that's not that interesting, she's going to have a hard time continuing the conversation with you. That's just really what I'm just trying to explain to you, to sort of get you some clarity around the dynamics of some of these things. Because I mean, you do have some social awkwardness. I think you mentioned at the beginning too.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you done anything to try to work on that? Like, you doing anything to sort of improve your conversation skills and flow a little bit better with that?
Um, Other than I've been doing Toastmasters,
Okay.
and that's
How's that
helped a
going?
bit. But that's more speeches. That's not really like interacting with women.
Well, I mean, talking to women is like, I mean, you could say it's like giving a speech. I mean, one of the tenets that you'll learn from like the red pill Manoswamp is to just ignore her beauty, right? Like, just treat her like she's just a person, right? Because guys can get caught up and stumble over themselves. Oh my God, she's a 9, she's a 10. I'm talking to this girl. She's actually here with me. She's across the table from me, sort of thing. And you know, you can get lost in her beauty. And like, one of the core tenets that you have to learn as a guy is just to ignore that and just treat her like anybody else. Like, even being slightly disinterested. It sounds like you've done some pickup artist course or something, because you mentioned neg, or did you read that somewhere in a book?
No, I just read that
Okay. Where'd you read that?
on online, like the red pill.
Okay. Some like
I mean,
pickup artist
yeah,
forum or something.
Reddit.
Yeah, okay, got it. Yeah, so it's just, I mean, it just gives me an idea that you've done a little bit of your research on this, you know, sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I have.
So as far as the awkwardness, like you said, you've done a little bit of Toastmasters, which is more or less giving speeches, and you say it's not the same thing as talking to girls, but I would argue you could treat it the same way. You know, you really could. You know, if you're not looking at her and being like, oh my God, just, you know, starry eyed, like deer in the headlights sort of thing. Do you think that you can get good at that? Like, it's not that difficult to do, you know, to be honest with you. Just look at a 5, look at a 10, treat them like you can
Yeah.
practice this just by making eye contact with all women and holding their
Yeah.
gaze. You know, if there's a beautiful 10, you know, that you see somewhere, just look at her and just pretend like
Yeah.
she's a 5.
Yeah, I've done that. I mean, I've been able to do it. It's just I don't necessarily know, like, I mean, I can tell when I'm being awkward, but I'm not always awkward. Like, I feel
Yeah.
like, you know, I wanted to say, on the last date that I went on,
Hmm.
we talked. The date was like 3 hours, and we talked, and we went back and forth the entire time.
This was a first date for 3 hours.
It was a first date for 3 hours at a
Let me
nice
just let me
restaurant.
just come back to that 3-hour date in 1 second, because I think that'll be important. I was just scrolling here, and you've got the pictures of your travels and the pictures of yourself through your travels. I don't see a social circle. There's only one picture here with you and your family sitting down, but I don't see like social circle pictures where you're sitting around with other guys.
Yeah, I don't. I only have like individual friends, but I don't really have like a circle, honestly.
Okay, I'm going to come back to the friendship in the circle in a second. So, tell me about the 3-hour date. How did that go?
It went pretty well. I feel like I held conversation well the entire time. I was flirting with her. Um, I I don't think. I mean, she said after the date, she's like, "You're not that shy."
Mhm.
She agreed to a second date, and we went on that, and then she rejected me. But I I think that one, I was a little more, awkward, but I still don't think I was. I don't think I was like anything like was anything terrible.
Well, something must have happened in the 3 hours for her to stick around for that long and agree to a second date.
I just think I really was like vibing with her. Like I was able to kind of connect and like be charming, I guess.
And where'd you do the date?
It was at an upscale restaurant. I'm
Did
not
you
going
have
to say.
dinner? Was it drinks? Was it coffee?
It was dinner. It was fairly pricey, but it was dinner.
Okay, so you took her out for a fairly pricey dinner on a first date.
The second one was a lunch. It was more pricey, but this was also pretty.
And then you bought her lunch on the second date.
We split.
Oh, you split the bill on the
Both
second
of
date.
them, yes.
Interesting.